There may not be a single culture on earth where somebody, some group, is not being oppressed by another group that has power over them. Every day we hear about the people of Myanmar, Chechnya, China, Israel, Syria, Iran, Saudi Arabia. According to the FBI and Southern Poverty Law Center, however, thousands of hate crimes are committed right here by our own citizens against various target groups every year. Many researchers even agree that there is one group that is nearly universally oppressed across most of the world's cultures. That group is women. From the dense forests of New Guinea and Sumatra to the frigid regions of Mongolia, from the beaches of sunny California to the subway platforms of Brooklyn, from the intimacy of the bedroom to the office, the factory floor, the sub-shop counter, there are hundreds of rules, traditions, customs, and behaviors in place that have served to keep women in their place. There are also lies about the target group that are repeated across generations, which effectively convince members of the oppressor privileged group, men, that the women want or don't mind much of the harm that is visited upon them, or that they somehow bring it on themselves. You shouldn't have parked with him. You shouldn't have worn that dress. You shouldn't have invited him up to your place. You shouldn't have smiled. You shouldn't have closed the office door if you didn't want to have sex with him. I expect that, like most of the men I know, Brett Kavanaugh was taught a lot of misinformation about women and girls. I was 17 when I met Laura. She was a new girl at the school, and I was excited because she was alternative like me. She wrote and appreciated poetry. She liked vintage movies. She was anti-war. She was smart and wise, but didn't mind cutting school for more interesting activities. We seemed to hit it off. After hanging out a few times, she invited me over to her house to listen to her favorite tunes while nobody was home. Based on my training, I saw this as an opportunity to score. So for the first hour I was there, I continually tried to kiss her and touch her and made sexual innuendos. She had to repeatedly push my hands away from her body, twisting herself away from me when I crossed boundaries. Her behavior was very frustrating for me. Why did she invite me over when nobody was home if she didn't want us to do something? Somehow, we made it through the afternoon. But everything changed between us after that. Laura no longer seemed excited to talk to me. She was too busy doing other things to get together. It took a long time for her to return calls. Gradually, our contact faded. Because I had done similar behaviors many times with varying results, it took me a while to associate my behavior that day with Laura's behavior afterward. Over the rest of the school year, it gradually occurred to me that my actions had been a violation of trust and an act of abuse. Once I faced the harm I'd done, I spent about a month feeling terribly guilty. I finally sought Laura out to talk with me. She said she had nothing to say, but she would listen. I explained as best my 17-year-old self could that I was sorry, and I realized my behavior was totally unacceptable. As I recall, Laura simply said, "It's about time. You really disappointed me." She then walked away. We never spoke again. It's now been around a half century since that happened. I can guarantee you that was not the last time I've owed a woman an apology for my behavior. I learned my training well. It's taking a long time to unlearn it. I tell this story not as an excuse for my or any other man's behavior toward women or girls, but as a context within which to understand some behaviors by men who might otherwise seem to be good guys. Our training allows us to disregard the desires, wishes, and natural rights of women. Most of us, at one time or another, act on that teaching. Fortunately, the feminist movement has gradually influenced the training of men enough that there are now stronger contending messages available for growing boys that emphasize the rights of girls and women. At the same time, however, recent studies have shown that a substantial number of college-aged men still hold these attitudes. Also, as a psychologist, I still hear my younger clients describing incidents involving abusive crimes similar to those ascribed to Brett Kavanaugh. Now, without adequate investigation, our United States Senate has chosen to make this man a Supreme Court justice. The question for us, women and men who consider ourselves allies to women, is what are we going to do about it? We have the power. We have the right. We can change this. And we are. And we will. We start by trusting ourselves. Women honoring your anger and transforming it into energy. Speaking up and challenging the oppression wherever we face it. Leaning on each other and finding strength and comfort. And in the meantime, voting. We have changed much in this society through action coordinated with voting. We can do it again. We have the numbers. Whether it's changing the court or impeaching the president or continuing the wave that has brought so much change already, the old white male elite will not reign forever. Their towers are crumbling even now.
Why should I vote? Nothing ever changes. The system is rigged. Why bother? Whether you're trying to get dinner on the table after working a double shift, dropping baby off with grandma, or studying for exams, voting can feel like the furthest thing from your mind. You might even feel like it's just not worth it. But that's exactly what some people want you to think. The truth is, when we stay home, things stay the same or they get worse. But when we all vote, we get new ideas and new energy. We get leaders who share our values and listen to our voices. That's how we change America. And that's why it's so important to register right now and vote this November. And in every election, go to whenweallvote.org or text We All Vote to 97779 to get started, and know that your vote will make a difference. Be sure to get registered and get to the polls on November 6th.